So today we're joined by Dr. Nick Maguire. Nick, thank you for being here today. Tell us more about yourself.
So I'm an associate professor in clinical psychology at the University of Southampton here, but I also run a not-for-profit social enterprise where we provide grant-funded psychology services for homeless people. And so we work in hostels as well as with the staff in hostels, but also with organisations, and we teach leadership from a psychological perspective in hostels. And we also do we're trying to develop good practice so that the ministry who are concerned with homelessness start to pay attention to the data that we generate.
Very interesting job, right?
Right, very, very.
So Nick, let's get right into it. You know, a lot of people, when it comes to career transition, they have a lot of hesitance, and there's a saying that goes, not deciding is decision.
Yeah.
Obviously, making a decision to change your career to a different career, your job to a different job, is not an easy thing to do.
Right.
I've done it 8 times.
Right.
Tell us more about the psychology behind that.
So I think there's a lot of fear and anxiety around changing career. I think for a lot of people, an existing career, as unsatisfactory as it may be a source of security, particularly financial security. And so particularly if you've got a family and a mortgage, then there's a inherent risk of leaving the safety of that paycheck and moving to something different. There's also other sources of anxiety. So big questions or predictions like, I won't be able to do the other job. I know this job, but I might not be able to do another job, or I might fail at it. So predictions of failure and predictions of believing that you are in some way incompetent might be huge factors in choosing not to jump ship or to make a change.
Okay.
So there's a number of sources of anxiety which might prevent that.
So from a military standpoint, we have people, you know, when you leave the military, we either have a year to transition to a new career, or 2 years for the officers, for that serve longer. The stress level obviously tend to go up.
Yeah, of course.
As you get closer to your transition.
Yeah.
Is that stress level the same for male and female?
That's a good question. I'm not sure we've ever measured that. I would suggest that in an evolutionary terms, uncertainty, so you have the certainty of an existing job, moving to an uncertain position of I don't know what's going to happen is inherently anxiety provoking, and so it should be. In our evolutionary past, if you're not sure whether there's a saber-toothed tiger who's out there and who's trying to predate on you, then that should drive anxiety, so that you should do something about it. But that translates into kind of a modern day society, or rather it doesn't translate into a modern day society. We haven't got any more saber-toothed tigers to look out for, but that uncertainty is there. So in answer to the question, I don't know.
So will the stress level, obviously, as you approach this transition phase of your life, goes up and will slowly die down?
Right. So what happens to anxiety? You can't tolerate anxiety forever. So what usually happens is that as we get some form of certainty, or as we find out that our predictions around failing and not being any good at anything, when we find out actually that's not true, we tend to catastrophize, and when we find out that those catastrophic thoughts we've had aren't true, and actually we can succeed and we are valued and valuable, that's when the anxieties all start to.
So it is a mindset.
Absolutely.
So having the right mindset is key to your.
It's absolutely true.
Okay.
And noticing something called the imposter syndrome.
Okay.
So I would challenge anybody to say they've never thought, oh my God, I'm rubbish at this. They're going to find out. Most of us will have those thoughts at some time.
Right, okay.
If you don't talk to people about those thoughts, then sometimes they'll stay with you for your entire career, and you'll remain worried about them, whoever the them are, finding out that somehow you're rubbish and they're going to get rid of you.
Yeah,
it's just a thought.
So how does emotion affect decision making?
So in the immediate, there's a number of mechanisms for this, but in the immediacy, if you're stressed at the time, what we tend to do is go to kind of habitual decisions. In other words, something that we know has worked in the past. Now, back to our evolutionary past, we're on the plains of the savannah as kind of proto-hominids, and we're faced with a predator. Now, what you don't want to do, we're doing is thinking, well, shall I run away or not? There's a predator, threat, run. So as we become more aroused, more anxious, we tend to make decisions very quickly, but in an ill-considered way. It's basically we don't use very much information to make that decision. We tend to resort to what has worked in the past, but won't necessarily work in the current context.
So are you saying that someone needs to be in the, not just the right mindset, but the right environment to make the right decision?
Or you learn a skill set.
Okay.
Now the skill set is understanding the relationship between your internal physiological, emotional state and that decision-making process. So if you can recognise, oh my God, I'm getting a bit stressed right now, my mouth's gone dry or my heart started to rate, and you just question yourself, it's okay, we'll take the magic half second here. I know I'm getting stressed. I know that might lead me to make a habitual or decide to do something habitual. Can I take a step back? Wait a second.
Okay.
For the stress to die down, the anxiety to die down, and to get back into a mindset where I have a considered response, not a habitual one.
So are these skills that we need to learn?
We can express it as a skill, and it is learnable, yes.
Right. Okay. So from your point of view, there will also be perhaps some neurodiversity and personality.
Right.
Different. We'll have different personalities.
Absolutely.
So what are these personalities?
So we can think of this on a number of different ways. So neurodiversity can be measured on a number of different dimensions. One of the classic ones is people who tend to be systematizers and see people tend to be empathizers. This is just one way of categorizing neurodiversity. Those who are systematizers tend to like order and like organizing things. Those who tend to err towards the empathizing sort of spectrum tend to understand others a little bit more and better at understanding the perspectives of others. Now, if you're a systematizer, if you're an arch systematizer, then you need to just recognize that you might not be imagining the world from another person's point of view as much as would be useful to you in making a decision. We sometimes call people attract the term black and white thinkers.
Okay.
Very black and white or very if then.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if you do tend to be quite black and white in thinking, and you know that you are, you need to know that you need to develop a skill of trying to imagine the world from somebody else's perspective to make a better decision.
So what you're saying is, I always keep saying that if you want to be something, it's good to have a role model.
That's one of the factors, yeah.
Right, okay, so if you can see something that you like to be in your next career, that is a good step for you, for your mindset, to think how you can get to the next level. Is that right?
Right. Now, but what you have to ask yourself is, why are they a role model?
Okay.
What is it that they are doing? Now, for a lot of us, and I include myself in here, the role models I have are people who reflect my values. So what I value in life and what the way I would like to behave in the service of those values. So if you see a role model, presumably there's something valuable and you're seeing something in them that is valuable. One of the biggest decisions I think to make in a career is, can you pick an organisation to work for which in some way represents the values that you would like to espouse? There's nothing more challenging and heart-sink than working in an organisation that doesn't represent the values that you would like to espouse. It doesn't allow you to behave in the service of your values.
I think that's a very great ending to this talk. I think it's important to align yourself, your values, to the next role you like to be.
Absolutely.
Go out there, meet those people, meet the team that work, meet the staff that work in this organisation, and align yourself with them. Great.
Perfect.
Nick, thanks for coming here today.
No problem at all.
We have you on the show.
Take care.